I have a weird affection for cop shows. There's something appealing about a bunch of knuckleheads getting in over their heads while being forced to turn in their badge because they're hotshots or something equally silly. Crime Fighter lets me live out my fantasy of being a TV cop and not having to deal with the actual job of protecting and serving. But Notepad, I have never ever heard of Crime Fighter. Yeah, because this one came out back in 1988 by Task Force Games. TFG itself was born in 79 and made micro games, board war games, was pretty well known for Starfleet battles. Funnily enough, Task Force Games would be merged with New World Computing and 3DO. That name sounds a little bit familiar. It's because Heroes of Might and Magic was directly because of these guys. Which leads to an even stranger realization that Aaron Alston was the lead designer. Yeah, Aaron Alston, the guy who wrote Rules Cyclopedia, Star Wars Expanded Universe books, and a ton of TRPG stuff from GURP Supers to Champions 5th edition. So that means Crime Fighters must be pretty well regarded, right? Well, no. The full game itself is little more than 65 pages, with most of it falling in line with Task Force other board war role-playing game things. The only information I could really find of the game is secondhand, and either Allinson's estate owned the rights to it, or it's been lost in the malaise. But crime never sleeps, and the hot dog patrol isn't going to solve itself. The game is 3d6 beat 11. Nothing altogether complicated to understand or actually learn, but it's how we modify that result is what bulks up the game. To better explain things, we're going to be making our very own super cop, Jackie Chan. First, we're going to have our attributes. The man on the street has 0 in everything, but we're TV show cops. Officer Chan may have these with his resounding 12 points to spend. Each of these is a flat bonus to their role, with a maximum of +6 or a debilitating -6 in any of these. Next, we get a multitude of skills, but with 60 points, it seems like we're going to be flush, right? No. Each skill costs a different amount of points. So if Jackie Chan is good at clue analysis, it's 5 for a +1. But acting is only 3 per +1. Certain skills are split, like languages or firearms, allowing you to be more precise in certain fields. Some skills are pretty weird actually, like ally, which means how easy it is to get a hold of your friend, which is different from the contact skill, having the correct license skill, or perhaps the player is brave enough to invest in scuba diving. When making a character, it's a pretty solid idea to invest a chunk of points into real police skills, then leave some skills for personal ones. Yeah, you are a decent cop, but are you a kung fu cop, forensic medicine cop, or dog cop? This does lead to a rather liberal use of modifiers, which they won't show up all the time, but a +4 can be a lifesaver and a -8 is going to doom an entire operation. Defaulting is always an option, but some skills are a complete crapshoot in that regard, with a -12 or -8 as their default modifier. A starting character can aim for one of 4 professions: police, detective, private detective, or being a military guy. These just require skills, with police detectives requiring a lot of legwork to get into, but you will be rewarded with experience points every session, usually about 1 or 2, so you can develop your skills. A junior officer over long enough time can be a detective with a little bit of effort. Now we have our super cop. That's the easy part. Now we get to the Task Force Games part. Nearly everything movement related has a counter. Chases officers' trash cans, often with some information that helps them. This usually plays into the 3 main scales: talk, chases, and combat. The concept of movement takes up 7 pages by itself. Vehicles are even more detailed, with every maneuver you've ever seen in a cop chase being able to be done in some variety. The more you try in one go, the harder it is going to be control everything, which may force your vehicle to spin out of control or go in a direction you are planning. And yes, this does extend to the rather lengthy section on chase scale maneuvers as well. But you want the exciting stuff, right? When combat comes up, follow this turn sequence! If you're not having a panic attack now, great. Most of this can be broken down into a 3 action point system, with a move and do thing being fairly common. The turn order resolves itself in order of decks, and the base system is used for most everything. Each action point you have is actually a second of time. Moving, shooting, anything costs times that you don't really have. So let's say we're shooting notorious drug cartel the Bucco Salamander. As we have our 9mm autoloader, we have no bonuses. If our officer has a +5 to hit and the boss has a +1 dex within the distance of 6 squares, meaning -3 from range, we can roll 3d6 plus 1 to see if we hit. Guns can be exceptionally dangerous based on this roll, with each point over 11 being plus 1 damage, adding onto our damage modifier. One bad hit and you can pretty easily be laid out, especially when shotguns and Uzis with full auto start showing up. If you've ever taken damage equal to your critical wound score, you may be KO'd immediately if you're lucky, or need to be identified in a morgue. With a pretty nasty death spiral, playing smart will get you out of danger a lot better than playing like a superhero, unless you are a super cop. There's a lot to do with combat as well, but most of that is just expanding on what's already presented, or adding the car exploding rules to make sure you can have a cool cinematic fistfight trying to save LA from a super duper terrorist. The source book has everything cop related in it, including police codes like a code 31057. The game even has an entire legal system in the back, making sure that you can fill out paperwork correctly and see what they got for the sentence, and having your very own district attorney and Better Call Saul to get really mad at. Crime Fighter is an interesting game that's been lost to the sands of time. Whether you want to play The Wire or Miami Vice, the game can do it, with a simple enough system to make everything flow. Its main flaws are when Task Force Games 1988 show up, making certain mechanics feel really clunky, as there's about 8 additional steps and about 10 different modifiers to apply sometimes. Those hosts of little numbers are going to throw most people off. Speaking with some others, there's been a joking debate of updating some of it to clean those wargaming aspects, but the charm is there regardless. It's something that can't be made today for a variety of reasons, but it's good to remember what came before to learn what we can make. My name is Notepad, and this was Crime Fighter. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Many thanks to the New Swansea Police Veterans Fund for their continued dedication to funding these endeavors. Godspeed, good luck, and manly, hit it.